folks, it's Jake here. This is Fixed Blade Friday, coming to you just a little bit early because there's a flash sale going on this thing and it ends very soon. The flash sale on this ends around 9 a.m. Mountain Time. That's North America. That's just before 1 hour before Pacific Time. But this knife, the TD-09 by HX Outdoors, is a bushcraft knife with a very unusual steel. Every reviewer I've seen so far wrongly says it's D2 steel, even after they read right on the blade where it says HD2, and they say, HD2? That must be D2. No, it's not. D2 is D2. HD2 is, wait for it, HD2. It's a different steel, different composition, different amount of major items like chromium and carbon. You know, those things make a big difference. So what I'm going to do is I'll try to get you some information about HD2. There's very little out there. There seems to be one manufacturer of Japanese style kitchen knives that uses HD2. And there was one website I found that had the chemical composition for HD2. I'm not sure how accurate that site is or not, but it's HD2 steel. These are the only knives I've seen with them and had in my possession. I've had this knife for over half a year, probably closer to 10 months now. And this is the sibling, or a sibling. Let me do this over again. These two knives are siblings. This guy is on at GearBest for $15 US right now, $14.99 on the flash sale. This guy's a fair bit more right now. You're going to look at close to the high 20s in US dollars to find this, maybe the low 30s, I'm not sure. There's some significant differences between these two, but the basic size is identical. Fine blade edge, and this guy's actually fine, and then it's got a little bit of serrations right at that belly, and a gut hook, and extra thinning of the blade stock near the tip. So I'm going to take a close look at both of these. They got ferro rods and everything, and they have, you know, plastic, hard plastic sheaths, probably ABS, and this little thing here. And one thing I want to say before I get ahead of myself is this weekend I just found out my daughter, her husband, and our 3 grandkids are coming over. They're going to be spending 3 days this weekend. They arrive Friday around middle of the day and staying for Saturday and leaving Sunday evening. So I probably won't have very much for videos coming out this weekend. I have a pleasant distraction. Just wanted to let you guys know. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at is the sheath, and black never shows up quite as well as other colors, so since the sheaths are identical, I'll show you this one. We've got holes along the side here, on both sides, and on the end for drainage, in case you get water in there. Here's the belt loop, so you can slide it over your belt and then slide it back off, so that's a good thing. Grips it quite well. I think that's about a 2-inch belt. I'll put the size of that belt that it'll accept on the bottom of the screen right here so you can see that. You know, fairly robust, pretty good. You've got extra little parts put into the plastic to make sure that it holds the knife quite well. And it grips it, so you see if I'm holding the knife itself and shake it, you know, it doesn't fall out. And you have to pull a fair bit, and then it comes out, so it's gripping it. You can see that it rubs right there. And on the sides here, there's some marks for where it grips it, so that holds it quite well. So reasonable sheath. And then you've got this little sharpening pad. Garbage. Last resort. Very last resort. The screws, this one's not quite as bad as this one. The screws are a little bit higher, a couple of them, than the stone is. So if you're sharpening across there, you're going to be scratching your cutting edge with the screws if you go over them. So you got to stay just within the middle. And it's going to be a very, very inexpensive budget material that's going to wear off very fast. So last resort. Is it bad? No. Is it good? No. So it's a good idea. Poor execution, but on a very low-cost knife, I can see why they did it. Not that I agree with their decision. So that's the sheath. So both of these are identical. I'm sure that this knife is going to fit in here. Yeah. So they're totally interchangeable. Yeah, exactly. Because the handles are identical and it grips on the handles. So we're going to put the sheaths aside and take a look at these two knives. Now this guy is not available at GearBest. I couldn't find it at Fast Tech. AliExpress, I think, is the only place I have it. I'll have links down below so you can buy this if you want to. Basically, you start off with the same thickness of a piece of steel. These two are the same. So when I give you the dimensions for the one, you'll know most of the dimensions for the other because the sizes are almost identical in every way, except for this piece of steel. It's been thinned at the edge. And they didn't just thin the entire thing, because you can see right here, let's get a little closer up picture here. There you go. The thickness of the edge right here is pretty much the same as it is here. So basically what they did was they thinned it down to the cutting edge on both sides. That does leave this piece of steel right here a little bit weak. If you're going to pry with this thing, it might break at the tip, but probably not because it's got a very robust tip there. You see that stays thick till right at the edge. It's going to break right here. Don't pry with your knives, for one. And secondly, yeah, that's going to be a little bit weaker there than you want it to be. We've got a little gut hook there. It's very sharp. This one came with just a Scandi grind all the way to the cutting edge. Whereas this one comes with a Scandi grind and then it's got another bevel, a micro bevel on the cutting edge right there. Okay, so that's a difference there. This one's also got teeth right there. I've ground some of them off. I've used this knife a fair bit, and I rather like it. This HD2 Steel actually is quite functional. It's quite robust, and it keeps an edge fairly well, and I kind of like it. It's a little softer than D2, though. And so I've gone and I've sharpened this a few times, so I've taken away some of the serrations there. I really don't like the idea of these serrations in the first place, so, I don't mind having those come off. And the gut hook is quite handy. You can even use this as a bottle opener. Here, I'll show you. I may as well have a Coke. I've gone to my Costco here in Canada, and they've got Coke imported from Mexico in glass bottles. Awesome! I don't like American Coke. In the United States, they use corn syrup. In Canada, we don't use corn syrup in our pop. And in Mexico, they don't use corn syrup in their pop. Really, really good. I'm not fond of corn syrup at all. So the way this works is, see that? You put this behind and you lift. Do I have it on TV here? You just lift. Bottle opener. Awesome. So I bought some of this because I really like Coca-Cola and I wanted to share some good Coca-Cola for Christmas time. And now I get to drink one. I had to do it, honey. It was for the video. So there's the name on the blade, and you can read right there, HD2, not D2, HD2. The knife handle, you've got this gray part. This one's better than the black for demonstrating this. The part that's gray is TPE, so it's soft. It gives a bit. It's a bit rubberized. You've got a little bit of jimping right there, a little bit of jimping there, a little bit of jimping there. It's just all tiny little bits for extra grip. It is super comfortable in hand. I really, really love this feeling in the hand. Awesome. And then this twists out to reveal the ferro rod. And the ferro rod actually works fairly well. Not super great, but fairly well. There you go. So yeah, you can use that to build a fire. It's going to work. They even got a fire logo on the side of the blade right there. Their own logo and the name TD-05 there. So that gives you an idea of this knife. And a nice lanyard here as well with a button that moves to change the length and stuff. Quite nice. So the handle on this one is identical. Everything's the same. But on the blade here, it says the same stuff on this side, identical. I really like this brushed look, the steel brushed look there. Bit of a drop point with a nice swedge. Very strong tip. I like that. And on this side, again, we have that fire logo right there for striking the ferro rod. The spine is nice and sharp. And then their logo's there. And this says TD-09. And then it's got a serial number there. Quite a nice knife. The final grind on this, on one side, it was 17.6 degrees. And on the other side, it was 23 and a little bit, I think. 23.2 or something. I've got it written down somewhere else. So fairly sharp. Let's take a look. I'm not going to do a lot of cutting because, I found out when there's less than 24 hours left. Let me put this on here. I found out when there's less than 24 hours left of this sale. So I'm making a video in a hurry. The steel is too thin to do batoning with it. So don't baton with this steel. Plus, it's not well enough known yet. I want that steel to be better known before I start doing something like that on it. But yeah, nice Scandi grind. It's at this price, it's a reasonable competition for things like Moras or Hultafors, or there's a whole slew of knives like this. The steel, according to my magnet, comes way back here, and it ends, here's this jimping, it ends right about there. So that's not bad. We've seen other knives that have been really good for this, and, it's not a problem. That kind of, do I like full flat grinds? Of course I do. But for a knife like this, and if you're not going to be batoning and stuff, it's just fine having a partial tang blade. All knives used to be that way a long time ago. It's just the way it is. And knives lasted for years and years and years and years and years. Just take care of your knives. Don't abuse them, and they're going to be good for you for a very long time. So there you go. That's the brief video. What's this kind of knife good for? Well, with this long straight edge and that nice belly there, it's like it says, it's a bushcraft knife. It's a really good outdoors knife. It's got a few survival kind of things with it, with the ferro rod and, the cheap sharpening thing. I like that it hangs nice and low off your waist because your belt's here and then the weight is down lower. So yeah, it's a decent buy. If you're curious about HD2 steel, 15 US shekels gets you this from GearBest. GearBest is charging, I think, about $1.70 to ship this to the United States, and I think $2.30 Canadian to ship this to Canada. What are the prices? In the United States, it's $14.99. In Canada, it's $20.21. In Australia, it's $20.96. In the UK, it's just under 12 pounds. In Europe, in euros, it's 13.31 euros. And in Japan, it's 1,730 yen. So it's available at a good price right now while this sale's on. I don't remember what GearBest's normal price is, but their normal price is probably less than the price of this one. I'm convinced it is because I saw the numbers before. Then this one is at AliExpress, but this one gives you more features. If you don't mind having a little bit thinner there, and if you like a gut hook, which you may or may not, some guys just hate them. I like the bottle opener part. That's kind of cool. But they could have done a bottle opener somewhere else if you wanted one. And most guys have all kinds of ways to open bottles, so not really necessary as a bottle opener. But the gut hook is actually designed and made very well. I was cutting zip ties with it, and it just slides right through them. So it's a good cutter. The blade edge is kind of neat, and the serrations is okay if you're getting through some hard fibrous stuff, sort of using it a little bit like a saw. But, I'm going to eventually grind off all those serrations. It's just going to be gone. So there you go. Here's this knife. If you want to get this, please use my links down below in the description. Thank you, especially to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. And I'm probably not going to sell either of these because I do want to learn a whole lot more about this HD2 steel. But hey, I might be willing to sell this one. I probably will keep this one. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.